this strategy and this action is really good for not only a functional area but for the whole LC, because evaluation is helping us to driving us to on the right track when we are doing some refreshment throughout the years. And like take an example of this year, we know in my own department we know that the problem of consideration at the consideration stage, the conversion rate is low, but then the planning and the reorganization is just among the LT team and also with alumni. But then if our members can also engage in the market analysis and utilize our potential and capacity that we have, like OGV is the greatest, like the department having the largest number of members. So we have to utilize this capacity to do more evaluation and analysis so that to help the growth of whole department in LC.
Ms. Rainie Chau. Thank you, Chairperson. My strategy will be trying to increase the initial member size. Point of clarification from Ms. Irene. Ms. Irene.
So it's using the strategy that was used in previous sessions, not a new one.
Ms. Rainie Chau. Candidate. Sorry, I don't have enough information to answer this question.
Will you re-answer this question?
Ms. Natalie Chen.
Just the answer of my previous answer is also one of the strategy I can take out from 1516 session, but it is not really a physical event that they held. Another strategy from 1516 session is that they have a reintegration task in outside CityU. They held the reintegration event in the secondary school. So I think it's actually benefiting the EP that they have more space to share the experience, and also to the secondary school student, they have an earlier exposure to what AIESEC is, and they know there is kind of entity doing volunteer exchange and try to develop leadership. And I think this actually helps our problem of shrinking membership size, so earlier exposure can raise people's interest to AIESEC.
New question from the floor. Ms. Kathy Kwan.
Thank you, Chairperson. So if you are now at the OGV and also IGT VP respectively in the same situation that Naomi and also Gary is currently now in, so for Rainie it's like Gary's position, and for Natalie it's Naomi's position. Do you get what I mean? Like current stage with the current problem, the current situations. Then what will you do to actually achieve your goal? What will you do or change to achieve your goal? So for Natalie, it's 125 applied according to your manifesto, and for Rainie, maybe you can achieve like tell us what is your goal, and also what will you do in order to like solve the problem in the current situation and like achieve the goal.
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. To boost the 125 applied, there are two strategies. The first one is focusing on the attraction stage. Though we have already changed our customer flow, that we couldn't ask them to sign up for the recruitment talk before they sign up on our OP right now, but we can still have these kind of activities, holding them, letting them know what exactly volunteer is, and let them to have an initial impression on how volunteer can impact on them. And this is one of the idea to hold them at the attraction stage. And the second thing is related to my manifesto about in the consideration stage. It is important for EP and EPM to hold reinforce their emotional bank account. This is is kind of soft skill, but then we can still teach our EPM to strive for the goal by holding a very good relationship with their EPMs. And one of the idea I propose is in summer peak to have a match mania between the EP and EPM.
Ms. Rainie Chau. So one of the biggest current problem that we have in IGT is probably membrane is about the maybe lack of clarity or the motivation to do their operational work. And another problem is also about membership is that actually there are some problem with tracking. And what I suggest doing in this session is to ensure they really know the fair use of doing IGT work by education and by engagement with EP, because EP is actually the tangible impact of what IGT or what ICE is doing. And another thing is they require them to do more personal update proactively by themselves in terms of their performance and in terms of their progress.
Follow-up question, Ms. Kathy Kwong.
Thank you, Chairperson. So please list out the people you did transition with, and also tell us what are you still lacking after you did those transition, and what will you do about it?
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. In our LC, I have done a transition with Gary, Angie, Naomi, Kathy, Ari, and a little transition with Francis. And for external, I have a full transition with Serafina in UST, also OGV VP. And one thing I have to improve is that to have more clear reason why I want to achieve the numbers that I stated in my manifesto. I do have calculate how many growth and how many loss I want to prevent in calculating the goal in my manifesto. But then I have to really think of whether I am ambitious enough or realistic enough. I have to choose like either side or making a balance, and this is what I lack in my current planning. And also I have mentioned to maximize the potential of my members, and I do have some initiative, and I think I can include more or explain more afterwards if so that to give them a detailed direction.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson. So I've done transition with Gary, with Angie, with Francis, and also with I think the manager of OGV. And I feel like what I'm lacking now is probably because I've only done transition with people around this LC, and I believe I need to know more about things from the MC level, like the national initiative and how I could really synergy and to cooperate with MC to achieve the bigger picture. And another thing that I lack is probably knowledge about some back office, because I was working in the front office, and I believe that there's something more I need to know more about back office, and I will probably do more transition with back office and also people at the MC level.
New question, Ms. Raiman. Sorry, Ms. Linda Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. From Rainie, please evaluate the performance of functional areas FLA, TM, and OGV with comparison to section 1617. For Natelie, please evaluate the performance of IGT, OGT, and BM with comparison to section 1617.
Time's up, candidate. Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. For BM, in the 1617 session, they are more timely market analysis than this session, and it's actually helping OGX department to identifying the target students in CityU that we can go for, that they wanted to have a global exchange experience. And for and also the branding event of this session is a little bit different from this past session that they have a wider area of wider goals that they want to achieve and more activities that helping the CityU students to engage in. And for and for OGT, they have similar internship program like the Apple one. And for the IGET, the problem of having complete EP in this year is more serious than last year. They are still dealing with the crisis of having complete.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
So for FFA, the question is probably we're not having a proper account for this LC because we are only having the bank account as brand account of our previous LCP and other LCP, and this creates a sustainability problem and creates problems about handling our financial performance in a way.
Follow-up question, Ms. Linda Tam.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will request for the removal of standing order.
Chairperson allows.
Please either do a roll call or sing a song to express your dedication to your position as a EB with explanation afterwards. Please either do a roll call or sing a song to express your dedication for the role as a EB and with explanation afterwards.
Ms. Natalie Chen.
I want to do a roll call, but can I have the music or
Yeah, sure.
can I have the hand clap?
Would you like to join?
Okay, I'd like to join.
I'm good.
Maybe I can explain first why I choose roll call is that really not many of the members like doing roll call because I love to dance, so I am okay with it. But then I think being an EB is actually the role of bridge between the higher parts of AIESEC and your members, and so doing roll call is you can say that kind of identity of AIESEC. So this is showing how passionate and the unity of AIESEC. So I think doing roll call is something being passionate in doing roll call is something the EB can deliver this message to our members. Yes, and for why I'm picking hand clap this is because the action. One of the action I think is like really showing open up and open-minded, and that's why I feel like being an EB, I want my EB board and my team members to be that open as well.
Somebody sing your soul, cause you've been sitting in the city. I know too many troubles, all these lovers got you losing control. You like a drug to me, a luxury, my sugar and gold. I want the good life every night, you're a home on the home. Cause you don't even know. I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap. Somebody sing your soul, cause you've been sitting in the city. I know too many troubles, all these lovers got you losing control. You like a drug to me, luxury, my sugar and gold. I want your sex and your affection when they're holding you close. Cause you don't even know. I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap. Every night when the stars come out, am I the only living soul around? Need to believe you could hold me down, cause I've been needing something good right now. We could be screaming till the sun comes out, and when we wake we be the only sound. Get on my knees and say a prayer, change round. I can make your hands clap. Yeah, I can make your hands clap. Yeah, I can make your hands clap. My fish is searching for you.
Okay. Next candidate, Miss Rainie Chau. Or they are doing it together. Together. Oh, okay. For what?
Because I want Rainie to explain as well.
Okay, Miss Rainie Chau.
For me, I think the song "Fix You" can show my dedication, and I'm not sure have everyone heard this song before. "Fix You," so I will try to sing one or two lines from the chorus, which goes, "I will try to fix you and ignite your bones." And I feel like it shows my dedication because I feel like as an EB, there's a lot of time we are trying to not fix, but to support each other and to really motivate each other and ignite their bones when they lost their motivation.
Next question, Miss Davis Soto.
So, a concurring problem that has been happening in OGV is that the IGV side impacts the experience of our EP more than we think. So, a real life example. An EP applied for several projects in Thailand because our LC has recommended this country because they're very famous for having really good projects. However, the AIESECers there turns out to be very irresponsible. So the EP has been told that they will be having an interview. However, they were not told any of the details of the interview. For example, like which account or Skype account should they contact, and like who is the person responsible for this interview. And during the interview time, nobody showed up for several hours. So this is not just happening in Thailand. It might also happen in many other countries that we don't know of. How, as an LCVP, can you prevent this kind of problems from happening? Thank you.
Time's up, candidate. Miss Natalie Chen, Miss Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So the first way to tackle this problem is to enhance communication with the I side of other LC, because once you have communicated with them, you will be more informed about their plan and their current situation. And if there is something wrong, or if you realize that there's something wrong from that LC, you will not recommend more EP to that place. And another thing is probably doing more data research and to evaluation from the past session, like looking at the data to see if the performance of particular LC is good, or are there any problems that you may foresee to tackle it.
Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. First of all, I don't think that IGV has really far more impact than us, because we are doing jobs in two different at different stages. So we have different impact on the EP throughout the journey. But referring to how to tackle this problem, the first thing is that I want to release the IR contact, some of them, to our members earlier, like. The international relationship that we have this year, we make use of them and having some match manager and having quick match. But then our EPM has a very slow and non-active contact to the IR unless things happen. And I think we have to take reference from other overseas entity to actively contact the overseas opportunity manager before they contact us, not only when crisis happen. And another thing is to have an earlier prospecting and changing the database of the project before the start of our term, and not to make them more updated on the quality.
Follow-up question. Mr. Wade, new question from the floor. Ms. Naomi Wong.
Thank you, Chairperson. What are your KPIs for the departments you applied for respectively?
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. My KPI will be two things. The first one is the numbers throughout the whole application journey, and the second one is about IXP numbers. I hope that at least there are 5 members of my next session is an IXP, no matter they go on a GB at that session, or they have been to GB and then they come back and become members in this section, and then in the next session. And for the other KPI, for application number, I want it to be 125, and then it's actually a 25% growth from the previous session. And actually there are 30% growth before in the previous session, but then the number of application is decreasing like around 10% from the 1617 session. So after calculating, I think a 20% growth is actually possible. And finally, 100 realized. Yes.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
For me, the KPI of my department is number of contracts signed, number of meeting rates, and number of matching opportunity, and number of re-rates. And I would like to talk about re-rates, because in this year we have signed 11 contracts. I believe in order to sustain their partnership for the following session, it will be a good idea. It will be a good idea for us to be able to do more re-raising.
Follow-up question, Ms. Naomi Wong.
Thank you, Chairperson. As if you're successfully elected as a part of the EB, what do you think would be the KPI for the entity's success?
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
I think the KPI of the whole LC is also the number of IXP because going on exchange it means that member they understand what is the impact of AIESEC and what is the importance of a practical cross-cultural experience to them, and we are actually hoping that our members can deliver this message and to our exchange participants afterwards and further develop their leadership. And so if there are more IXP, it means that they can deliver this message by their own action, and this is the most direct way to boost the performance of our own LC. And also for IXP, one of the benefits is that their personal values should be more aligned with AIESEC after they reinforce their learning throughout the whole journey, no matter if internship or volunteer, and we believe that they have a higher capability of being at AIESEC.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chair. So my first KPI will also be, as Lisa says, the number of ISP, because for having more ISPs actually means that we have more members that really understand what the value of AIESEC and they are aligned with what AIESEC is doing. And another KPI I would say is probably the people that choose to return the talent sustainable rates, because when there are more members that they try to progress for another goal, it actually implies that they understand what they're doing in here, that they have an impact for what they do.
At time 3:18, Chairperson receives General Motion number 3, which reads that the warmest welcome be given to Ms. Serafina Zhang, the LCVP outgoing Global Volunteer of AIESEC in HAUST of Session 1780. Can I have the proposal from the floor? Ms. Irene seconder. Ms. Naomi Wong possessive her motion proposal.
Thank you, Serafina, for coming all the way here. So, as you may know, Natalie is running for OGV, so feel free to ask her more about OGV, but also on Rainie as well, because they're running for General EV. So we really appreciate it if you can ask them more questions to develop their EV mindset. Thank you.
Who's second speak for the motion? Seconder.
Hello, Sarah. So thank you for taking time and come. We know that you have a very, very hectic schedule. So please raise questions to help facilitate both our candidates' development and growth throughout election journey. Thank you.
Any general comment? If no, Chairperson assumes that motion passed with acclamation. New question from the floor. Ms. Rhiannon Zhang.
Thank you, Chairperson. Please state the positioning of each department in an LC.
Time's up, candidate. Candidate, Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. First, for the back office, for FLA, they are our central, like where our source come from. And so without them, and we cannot have any budgeting or financial statement that they have to hand into the MCF each month. So FL is important to sustaining our growth of LC. And then for BM, they are promoting our branding and image to the home market of CityU. And then for TM, they are facilitating our members' growth in the 4 leadership qualities and its value. And then for IGT, they are showcasing the potential of a Hong Kong entity and also the whole image of CityU. And then for OGT is mainly showcasing our professionalism and the broad network that we have. And for OGV is widening the sense of world citizen of the CityU students.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I will start by back office 2 for TM is gatekeeping the experience of members, and for FO is more about sustainability of an LC in terms of financially, and for BM is important for setting up a good image and to do promote within the campus, especially during attraction and consideration phase. And for IGT is more about external bringing talents who want to see the true side of Hong Kong. And for OGT is also showcasing professionalism, and for OGV is to ensure the members or the student in CityU can have the chance to professionally develop themselves through exchange.
Follow-up question, Ms. Rihanna Zhang.
Thank you, Chairperson. And how do you see the current departmental cooperation, and what more synergies can you propose for Session 1A, 1.9 in our LC?
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natelie Chen.
First of all, talking about the current department's performance, the first thing is that we do have miscommunication sometimes internally, so it hinder our follow-up and efficient tracking on our EP. And the good thing is that the efficiency of our EPM doing matching for our EP is increasing, and this helps us to gatekeep the standard of the application quality of the application journey. And then to propose more synergy, the first thing is with TM. Actually, I propose that we should develop the sense of world citizen in a manifesto, but it is not only limited to EP, but also to our members. And I think we can have a synergy more about the SDG and also the world issue synergy with the TM to make this event happen. And one more is with BM, the branding event and our lead session for our EP.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So in terms of their departmental cooperation, I believe that there can be more cooperation, especially within IGT, because we always say IGT is a more isolated department. And the other thing is, within members, they don't really have a understanding of what other departments are doing. I believe there's something we can work on it. And for the synergy part, I propose that in my manifesto too. I believe that IGT can actually work with TN, like maybe initiate more cross-culture hands-on training, cross-culture workshop during mass meeting, for example, letting EP to have a platform to share their own culture by doing some activities like language class, etc. And another synergy I propose is IGT and OGT, because I believe that if the members of OGT know how to take care of an EP, they will be more helpful with sending EP out to other places.
New question from the floor. Ms. Linda Tan.
Thank you, Chairperson. Please list out 3 crucial characteristics for your ideal members for AIESEC and CityU in the coming session, and 3 specific characteristics for the members in your own department. And do not repeat your answers with your fellow candidates.
Ms. Natelie Chen.
For whole LC AIESEC members, the 3 things. The first one is having a sense of world citizen and be an ambitious person is the second one. And the third one is to understand the bonding between one another. This is the 3 characteristics for AIESEC members. And then for my own department, the first thing is to be a caring person. The second is to be an efficient member. And the third thing is also the sense of world citizen.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
For IGT, the qualities that they should have is a very strong mentality and creative and ready to go for extra miles. And for members in AIESEC CityU in general, I believe they should have social awareness, self-awareness, and also they have a sense of belonging to AIESEC in general.
Follow-up question, Ms. Linda Tan.
Thank you, Chairperson. From the following three people, please choose one to be your ideal member for your department and list out the reasons. The three people are Mr. Matthew Zhang, the current Secretary for Administration, Mr. Paul Chen, the current Secretary for Financial Affairs, and Ms. Teresa Zhang, the current Secretary for Justice, all in HKSAR.
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will pick Teresa as the member. First of all, justice is also an important value in AIESEC. Like among the six values of AIESEC, demonstrating integrity and living diversity, I think it's also aligned with the concept of justice, not having racial discrimination, and also try to do our best in the official way that we are allowed to do. And I think these two is important for our AIESEC development. So I will pick Teresa as our member.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson, and the person that I would choose is Paul because I believe that in IGD it's very important that you have a business and finance sense, and if Paul is good at, if a member is good at doing finance, they will probably be more meticulous to number, and they will also have a better business sense and about price model and stuff which can help to promote our product to companies and to think in a more practical and financial way.
New question, Ms. Naomi Wong.
Thank you, Chairperson. I request for the removal of Senator.
Chairperson allows.
Okay, candidates, if you can add a new goal to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, what would you add? Please draw the logo of the 18th SDG and name the goal with a proper title and explain why it's the goal needed.
Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. You may not see, but this is the logo, and this is the logo of and the goal is mental well-being, which is actually different from the third goal. The third goal is about good health and well-being, but then in this one is mainly about mental health, because we notice that there are more people feeling stressful and having mental problem and mental disease nowadays. And as an AIESEC, we also believe in positive impact that we can create. And actually, for an AIESEC, positive mindset is very important. So why not we make use of our capability or our characteristic to help dealing out with this issue and having more volunteer experience to cater the needs for these mentally ill patients in the world.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So my proposed sustainable goal is zero discrimination. As you can see, there are two people holding hands together, and I believe it is very important to really have zero discrimination, because as a from which strive for peace and to promote humankind potential, but then nowadays, like, many people are discriminated because of their sexuality, their race, etc. And I believe that it's very important for people to really able to live themselves and to really feel free to identify themselves without worrying about label and stuff. So I believe it would be the goal that I have.
Follow-up question, Ms. Naomi Wong.
Thank you, Chairperson. So, could you please pick one of the SDGs and evaluate AIESEC's contribution to it?
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Rainie Chau.
One of the sustainable goal that I'm going to evaluate is quality education, and I believe that AIESEC actually do quite a lot on that. And to start with, we have a lot of GV project that focus on providing quality education for underprivileged children. And apart from what we do externally in AIESEC, we also provide like education in terms of for members, like in terms of expanding their world vision and to make them have a better social and self-awareness. So I believe AIESEC has done quite a lot on providing quality education.
Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. The SDG I will pick is reduce inequalities. From the members in our AIESEC, in our LC or in other LC, we can see that there are actually many different nationalities within our members, and this is the first step that will show that there's no boundaries forming in AIESEC, reducing the interaction and also working together even among different people with different nationality. And also take a case of our IGT in our LC that we have a Vietnam EP back then is William should be, yeah, and then he has mentioned that in his country there is not much people that can travel outside and come to Hong Kong and to do this internship experience, and we can see that AIESEC is really providing a very good opportunities for people to engage themselves and to enjoy the participation into some unique experience, which is no judging on or no limiting on to any people.
Your question from phone, Ms. Sarafina Zhang.
So I have two different questions for different candidates. So first of all, Natelie, so I see your KPI here on the last page of the manifesto is that you aspire to achieve 80% conversion rate from apply to realize. And I have did a little bit of research just now. For 16-17, the conversion rate from apply to realize is 70%. Exactly 70%. For 17-18, the term has ended, so we're still waiting for people to realize. But then so far, the percentage rate is 36%. So what strategies do you have that can make sure that guarantee you that you can aspire to reach 80%, which is the new high And for Rainie, can you please tell me, because I cannot look up to any numbers from your manifesto, that what is your KPI of being the VP I get? And also, in every strategy, what are you trying to achieve, and what is the exact outcome that you want to see?
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. To achieve a very high conversion rate from open to apply, I will mainly put the focus into the attraction period. As I have mentioned in my manifesto, the first thing is to optimize my members' potential in designing different events for the EP and the leads when they are coming into AIESEC, that they have a better image on what AIESEC is, not only thinking that we have a promotional booth or those stuff, but more creative way to present our ideas to the strangers. And another thing is to demonstrate professionalism, and it's actually taking reference from the 15 and 16 section, that they have a massive recruitment talk, though we may not know can we do it in our time due to the customer flow barriers, but then their professionalism showing that they have many capacity standby, and also how they stick the logos on the sign outside the door and guiding people to come, and registration, these stuff is actually telling people how professional we are.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So one of my KPI is probably 100% matching, because, and the outcome that I would like to see from it is, first, TM will have the trust in us and believe that we could really provide the talent that they need and is suitable for them. And another outcome that I would like to see is that EP can really find a opportunity that's suitable for them and can really develop themselves professionally and personally. And the third outcome that I would like to see by having 100% matching is bringing EP to Hong Kong successfully, because I believe, as I mentioned before, I believe that EP is the impact of the IGT, and by letting members to interact or to taking care of the EP, they can see their impact or the meaning of their work.
Follow-up question, Ms. Serafina Zhang.
So please define the success of a VP and also an EP.
Time's up, candidate. Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. As a VP, as our members is looking up to our VPs and managers in our functional area, so how much a VP can make our members to believe in their products, and also they may go to the products as long as they are available in that period. And I think the number of members going on a product exchange, and this is also one of the success that can be measured for a VP in their own functional area, because they make our members placing full trust and support in our product. And then the second for EB, there are two things. The first thing is that how many growth from our department that we can contribute to our LC. The growth of number of realization is actually showing how much impact we can reach out for CityU students. And then the second thing is that how many members, the members' engagement in our LC is also showing the success of the EB, that you really deliver the AIESEC concept and make them engage and enjoy the participation in AIESEC in our LC.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
So first for VP, I believe the success is if you had able to achieve the departmental goal, which is very important. And the other thing is about the retainment rates of manager and member, because if they choose to return to progress, it means that they understand what they're doing here and they would like to contribute more to this LC. And for EB, I believe one of the way to define success is about the number of exchange that they have done as an LC, because it's actually how many numbers of exchange that you can do is actually something that relies on every department, that be PM or FLA, etc. It's not only about front office. And
new question, Miss Irene.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I would like to know more about what you guys view transition as. So can you comment on the transition between Obama and Donald Trump, and using that example to explain to the plenary why transition is important? Thank you.
Council candidate, Ms. Natalie Chen.
I think the two things that Obama should transit to Donald Trump, but is not really successful, is Obama is trying to build a leading role of America in the world, but also not giving up the fulfillment of peace. He wants to be. He always in intervention. There are many intervention points of America into other countries' issue, but then he is not trying to argue with them. He's trying to be a peacemaker. But then Donald Trump is he just only get half of his idea, just to be the leading role, but neglecting how a leader should be in the world. And so I think the transition is not only transiting the physical knowledge, but also the aspiration and the mentality of a president or a leading role should be. And yeah, and then to make the next session think whether you want to continue on this aspiration or do you have new thought on that.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
thank you, Chairperson. So I believe that the most significant problem between the transition of Obama is Donald Trump. Really, they have very different vision and they have very different ways to achieve their goal, and this create lots of chaos. And I believe that it showcases how important transition is, because when doing transition, we do not only learn about transit, about physical knowledge, but also need to know from the previous session what is good and how to maintain them, or how to sustain, or how to work on improve on that.
Follow-up question, Ms. Irene.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can you tell us your respective vision for the LC, your potential predecessor, which is Gary and Naomi's vision, and my vision as LCP elect, and explain to us how you can bridge all this vision so that we are actually heading to one direction for next session as AIESEC and CityU. Thank you.
Council candidate, Ms. Natalie Chen.
For my vision for OGV and for my LC is to simultaneously develop our members and also the exchange participant going on exchange, because both of them are the talents that we should not miss in our in the concept of AIESEC, and that's why my mission noted in manifesto is capable members and also rewarding volunteer experience. And then for Naomi's vision, what we are doing this year is to gatekeep the standard and the quality of the experience. And I have already talked with her that I also want to continue this vision. So that's why it's noted in my manifesto, the third part, that we have standard gatekeeping with the overseas entity. And then the vision of Irene, is that you want to shape. One of them is shaping learning environment, and also heading towards having a larger bargaining power to our campus. Yes, and I think.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
So first, my vision is to provide quality exchange experience and also leadership experience to both EP and member respectively. And for LCP, Irene, their vision is to create learning environments for members, and for my vision for this LC is to make CityU the first leadership platform. And what we're trying to do in this session, IGT, is to try to re-raise the contract and also to make sure we have a 100% matching rates and stuff. And to be sure I can achieve all that, I would first to make sure the members know that what they do really impactful, and so they can have a platform to really learn and develop themselves and to really perform in their operation work.
New question, Mr. Andrew Raphael James.
So sometimes when front office are promoting the exchange programs, they cannot really communicate clearly why customers should choose our products over other exchange opportunities like CityU service administration or the fellowship business summer programs. So what do you think that our products can be seen more tangible, because exchanges are intangible, right? How can we promote our products so that it can be more seen, it can be more tangible, so that the customers can see our benefit of exchanges?
Ms. Natelie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think there are two unique points that I can point out for the difference between OGV and other competitors. The first thing is that other competitors, they do not own by youth, not run by youth, and also not limited to youth, some of the overseas volunteer exchange. And this is actually, for youth, we are having the same growing up background and also same concern right now. And so if we are running the organization and our project by youth, then we can ensure our EP that they have a better sharing space and better reflection journey. And so the second thing is about how we guide them through the growth, how we guide them through the whole journey. But unlike the other organizations, they are just providing them really logistic support, but not really guiding them to reflect on what they learn and also what they gain from the journey, what they back into their own life. And so that is the 2 point unique of OGV.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I believe that we AIESEC have also some very unique points in compared to other exchange organizations. The first one is we have a very comprehensive global network. Like we're actually able to bring our exchange participants to different continents of the world, and in a very convenient and centralized way by signing up in Expart. And the other thing is we have a longer history compared to other organizations and stuff, because AIESEC we start after World War II, and it's very, and it could give a credible image to others and to really promote this to other potential customers, to make them realize that we really have impact and very tangible and suggestion could actually invite potential customer to go to the really integrated workshop and to really talk with the people who have been to exchange, so they can be more, they can know more about the tangible side of exchange.
Follow-up question, Mr. Andrew James.
I think this question is more on Natelie. So let's say if your EP accepted the project in India, Vietnam, and Indonesia, which country do you choose, and why do you choose that country, and what are that country best selling points?
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. The first choice will be Vietnam. The second will be Indonesia. So I will stress on why, explain on Vietnam why I encourage my EP to go to. Comparing to Indonesia, although we do not have Vietnamese in our LC, but then we have a closer contact with Vietnam, and we know the quality quite well of Vietnam, like the LC, AIESEC, and HCMC, that they have been the best entity in Vietnam for many years. So we know that we clearly know the quality of that project, and also we have many returnees of the project, and they do send us booklets and at a very early stage when the peak is open, and it shows that how efficient it works, and actually this builds the confidence of us to Vietnam LC, and also as well as our EP would do so. So among the three choices, I will pick Vietnam.
New question from the floor, Ms. Henry Wong.
Thank you, Chairperson. So this question is from our silent note taker. He requests for a removal of standing order.
Chairperson allows.
Your candidates, please tell the silent note taker directly what news coming from either Africa, Central Asia, or South America.
Adding to the point that both candidates have been emphasizing a lot on world citizenship. And the news cannot be repeated.
Reminds me of Nigeria. That's why can you make sure this person stay away from me as far as possible after today? Please.
Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. The first thing, I'm sorry that I do not have a news from these three places, but I have one from America. This is the latest one it's a news from yesterday. It's about in United States, the office of Alabama. There are 35 black women running for the office in this section, and I think this why I pay attention to this news is that in our SDG goal we talk about gender equality, and this news clearly shows that places that with a very serious racial discrimination, they do have people stand up for themselves to tackle the inequality problem, and I think this is one thing we can show our members that things is going to change if you contribute yourself.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Sorry, I also don't have information about those three places, but one news that I can share is about recently in North Korea, they actually try to initiate more contact with South Korea, which is something that haven't really been seen before.
Follow-up question. Wait. New question. Ms. Diary Soloto.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I have two separate questions. For Natalie, please imagine you are an LCVP for IGT, and please set an example to your future members as to how to do a proper 1-minute elevator pitch to our customers. Please remember to highlight the values we can give when compared to our competitors. For Rainie, if you were to ask to give 5 OGV project recommendations, what would they be and why?
Time's up, candidate. Time's up, Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, you, Chairperson. So if you are interested in doing internship, the reason why you should come to Hong Kong is that it is no doubt that Hong Kong is an international.
Point of clarification from Ms. Davis Soto.
Sorry, my question is actually more towards like, what's the pointers you would give to your members, not actually give
Ms. Natalie Chen. To our members, we have to know the position of Hong Kong different from the other countries. We have, for IGT, we are facing the problem that many people want to come to Hong Kong to do internship, but then our companies are having low demand because they want to hire Hong Kong people very fast. Then this is the unique point of Hong Kong culture, that we can still tell our members that even though demand and supply is not in a correct ratio, but then we still have our unique point as being an international city, that the companies can surely cater the needs of the EP coming from different countries, as most of us, we have a higher proficiency in speaking English, and also we do not have to the EP do not have to worry too much on the safety issue in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is rather a safer place, so it's still a good choice and unique point for Hong Kong, for an EP to come to Hong Kong.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. Sorry that I don't really have 5 particular points that I can share, but I do have 2 that I can really encourage people to join, and they are all from AIESEC in Bandung, and one of them is the Mala education. And in this program, participants can have the chance to teach the kindergarten children about in English, and I believe it's a good idea because for Hong Kong we have been taught English for like since in kindergarten. I believe it's a good platform for them to really give back to the world by what they are good at. And another particular project that I would choose is the entrepreneurship shuttle wave, also in Bandung, Indonesia, because I feel like in a project they can help the locals to make and sell their product, and I believe it's a good way to facilitate cross-cultural exchange by hands-on experience.
Follow-up question, Ms. Davis Soto.
Thank you, Chairperson. So for Natalie, still about IGT, let's say that you have set up a meeting with a lead that you're currently attending the meeting. So they ask you to waive the program fee because the minimum salary you recommended to them is very close to the salary for startup. A fresh grad, sorry. So how do you respond to this? Okay. So for Rainie, let's just say an EP arrives to their hosting entity, and then it turns out their DD is very different from what it says in OP. For example, like let's say the one in OP, it says 7 hours every day for 5 days a week, and then when they come, it turns out to be like 2 hours a week. So what would you do to solve this problem for the EP? Thank you.
Chairperson, I want to clarify that. Are you asking me to raise the salary or decrease the salary?
Okay, wait. So the question is, the lead asks you to waive the program fee because the minimum salary you recommend to them for the intern is too high, basically. So what would you do?
Time's up, candidate. Time's up. Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So the first thing I would do is talk to the host entity of that EP to see if there are any miscommunication between them. And if there is nothing that I can do and it's just turned out that their host entity is really is a very irresponsible one, then what I would do next is to provide departure support for the EP for him or her to come back to Hong Kong. And my contingency plan for that is to, because they already have an unpleasant experience, so what I will focus on is probably help them to rebuild their trust towards AIESEC by recommending them some better be more about what exactly the problems they encounter and try to respond to the host entity to avoid similar problems happening again.
Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. To waive the program fee, because the program fee is actually paying for to the company and also administrative work for for us, for IGT, so that we couldn't waive the program fee. But for the salary, it is too high as a fresh grad. The first thing is that they have to understand why we suggest this salary to them, and if they really feel like they don't want that high salary, it's actually negotiable to the company. Then we can ask them to have the frequent communication with the company that they match, and to to negotiate about the salary.
Chairperson would like to draft a question list for the final round of Q&A. So if you would like to raise questions, please raise your hand now and put down your hand when I call your name. Ms. Naomi Wong, Ms. Rhiannon Zhang, Ms. Angie Fong, Ms. Irene, Ms. Linda Tam, Mr. Andrew James, Ms. Angela Kwong. Ms. Kelly Kwan. No more questions. Okay, then we'll start with Ms. Naomi Wong.
Thank you, Chairperson. Please remove one of the opposite candidates' strategy from their manifesto and explain why.
Time's up. Candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. The one thing I would kick out from her manifesto should be number 3.2, smart individual goal setting. First of all, I think that goal setting for each member should be really depends on their characteristic. So it is not unnecessary to put the direction right in the manifesto. But then what she wants to have is a very clear goal among every member so that they can have ownership and work for the department. But then IGT are facing different situation from other exchange department that the demand and supply is not in a correct ratio, and also the people that can come to Hong Kong for internship is actually not much. So actually members have to work together to cater for just a limited number of leads and EP. So individual goal is not as important as the whole common goal the department should achieve.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So one of the strategy that I will remove from that manifesto is running the emotional bank account between EP and EPM. And I actually believe it's a very good idea to cultivate more understanding between EP and EPM. But the reason why I would like to remove it is because I feel like actually most of the time EP are very busy and they don't really have their time to, or they don't really willing to cultivate something outside of matching a project with an EPM. So I believe we may be able to delete that.
Follow-up question, Ms. Naomi Wong.
Thank you, Chairperson. So for Rainie, can you justify why that strategy that Natalie mentioned should not be deleted? And for Natalie, do you think the LC is in 100% customer-centric right now? Justify your answer.
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. First of all, regarding to the operation of the customer flow, from attraction period to the value delivery period, we are also having one-to-one catering service for our EP, so it's exactly customer-centric. But considering to the 100% customer flow, there are actually 3 points. The first is ensure the leadership qualities are developed in our members and in our EP, and then receiving the 16 standards. And the third one is having entity control board. And I think the only thing that we may not achieve as right now is every EP that they can receive the 16 standard as a satisfaction stage, because the 16 standards, most of them are not catering by our LC. So this is the only thing that makes our service not 100% customer-centric right now.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So the first reason why Natalie's strategy should not be deleted is that EPM is for EP. EPM is actually the working brand for AIESEC, and if they have a more closer understanding of each other.
Point of clarification from Ms. Naomi Wong.
Yes, I was asking about the part why your strategy should not be removed by Natalie. Did you get what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So the reason why I believe the individual SMART goals should not be deleted because first in IGT we can it's very hard to track members' performance experience, and by setting up a SMART goal for them is actually a motivation for them to, or a standard or a guideline for them to make sure they know how much they have to work towards the goal, because it's something very hard for LT to actually track their performance in IGT. And the other thing is, I believe having a goal is good for the members to have more motivation and a higher sense of belonging towards their department. So I believe it shouldn't be deleted.
Due to time limit, Chairperson would not entertain for follow-up question. Next question goes to Ms. Rhiannon Zhang.
Would you please tell us what is sustainability for an entity and why it is important?
Time's up. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. There are two things. The first thing is objectively looking at the retention rates of each section is measuring the sustainability, one of them. But for the other factors affecting sustainability is keeping evaluation and having new initiative, because to sustain an LC is not only to keep them at the same level as what the previous section is, but also to keep it growing. So having new initiative by a new EB board is important to the LC. And so what we can do is having more holistic transition, not only between sections, but also within the new EB board, that how can they bond and cooperate with each other. This is very important for the LC to sustain in a good momentum and also functionally good in the next session.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I believe for sustainability, we can talk about the hard side and the soft side of an organization. And by hard side, I mean financially and also about the people in the organization. Because if we do not have money or we do not have people, we can't actually run an organization. And for the soft side would mean, rather actually mean the culture or the culture of, or the image of the organization. Because in order for an organization to sustain, what other members, what other people outside the organization think about is actually very important, especially when we are providing cross-cultural exchange for other people. So if we ruin our image, we lose our trust between EP or other TN, then our organization is not going to be sustainable as well.
Next question goes to Ms. Angie Fong.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. So, please evaluate the effectiveness of any promotion that you have seen in 1718.
Time's up. Candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
I would like to evaluate on the effectiveness of the promotional booth that we have in this session. So it is not effective, basically two reasons. The first is that our members are standing for long hours and having quite a lot of time slot in the promotional booth. But then some of the period of the promotional booth is actually not having many CityU students walk by, and for those periods, our members are just not really very engaged in doing the promotion, and this is actually wasting our members' time and also their energy. And so the effectiveness can be improved on really evaluating which kind of period, both at the day and also within the whole timeline, school timetable in CityU, based on these two things to evaluate the
Thumbs up. Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. And the one promotion that I would like to evaluate is the photo booth, which is something we held very recently, and I believe it's actually quite successful in terms of the number of participants that we can reach, because I'm not responsible for the booth, but I can see that there are people from other LC who also are interested in coming to see what we are doing here, and I believe it's a good way to expand or to build our image. But then one of the things about that promotion that I feel it should improve is that I actually talked to some participants of that photo booth, and I realized that actually not all of them understand the reason or the meaning behind the photo booth. They indeed know more about AIESEC and what that is, but I believe it's very important for future participants of our coalition group to really have more understanding on the rationale behind it to make sure we can maximize the impact of coalition.
Next question goes to Miss Irene.
Thank you, Chairperson. So running for LCVP is more than just becoming part of an EB of this LC. So can you tell me what does it mean to be part of AIESEC in Hong Kong? And how do you balance your role in being a representative of AIESEC in CityU, a member of your standing committee, and also a youth of Hong Kong society? How do you ensure that you play all these roles as next year's LCVP? Thank you.
Top candidate, Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. So the first thing is our role in AIESEC in Hong Kong. So there are 7 LC right now, and we are actually the one executing the initiative and also the vision of our MC. And so we are the one taking action to achieve the goal that they want. And for balancing the roles between standing committee and also my role in my LC. Actually, we are the bridge between MC and our LC at this moment. And so we are trying to have a frequent communication and effective communication with the standing committee that is from LC to adjust our plan and also implement their goals into our policy or plan that we are doing in our own LC. And as a youth, if we are carrying responsibility of these committees and we are already executing what our youth should do.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairman. So by being part of AIESEC in Hong Kong, I believe it's very important for us to really understand the initiative in the MC level and to really execute it back in our own LC. And in terms of balancing between EB and standing committee, I believe it's actually one of the most important things to make sure our LC direction is aligned with the MC direction in terms of our vision and goal, etc. And for youth in Hong Kong, I believe one of the things that we should do is that after we learn something about AIESEC and also the other places outside Hong Kong, we should think about how to give it back not only inside the organization but also outside as a youth in Hong Kong.
Next question goes to Ms. Linda Tam.
Thank you, Chairperson, and I request for the removal of standing order.
Chairperson allows.
Please talk directly to the plenary about whom will you want to put into the Board of Executive for the coming session or to the LT. If that person you want to ask him or her to join into the next session is here in the plenary, please address that person directly. Thank you.
Do they need to discuss?
Separately.
Okay. Candidate, please start whenever you're ready.
So it's not only one person.
It's not only one person.
Miss Natalie Chen.
I would like to propose Nathan, Marston, Angela, and Muskan. Yeah, for Angela, she is a very effective and fast learner, efficient and fast learner. So for her to execute our operation in our EB team, it would be really adding value. Yes, and then for Nathan, he has a very business.
Point of clarification from Ms. Linda Tan. Ms. Linda Tan.
If that person is in the plenary now, please talk directly talk to that person.
Yeah, first for Angela, I think you are very fast learner. Like from our department OGV operation, like you have execute a video about how to sign the acceptance note very quickly. That I don't even know when this initiative comes from, and so I think you are very responsible members that you're doing jobs other than your job description, and yeah, putting efficient and effectiveness in your job. Yes. And then for Marston, I don't really know you that much because we are in different department. But then in the branding event, what we have chat a few, and I think that you do have different. You have many thoughts in yourself, and I think raising questions and being having a creative mind will be really important in our EBT. And then for Muskan, actually, we have just already talked about why I think she is important in our EB, like giving us many support and care to the whole EB team, forming really a good momentum for our LC. And then for Nathan, actually, from the March mass meeting, I noticed that when you are thinking of reflecting on the questions about world citizen and news, you really think it in a very diverse, different perspective, and being open-minded to every issue is a very good characteristic of you to be in our EB team. And as well as having a very business model, like from the question that you just raised, I also think that it is a very important element for a business model person in our EB team to balance our characteristics.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I will first address the person who is not currently in the plenary, which is Stella, current member from the IGT department, and I would like to invite her to be part of the EB, especially the ER department, because I believe that she has the capability to handle this role, especially because I have joined some networking event with her, and I could see that she is a very sociable person, and he also have a very high standard for herself, so I believe it will be good for our EB. And the other people that I would like to invite to join EB are Orenda and also Nathan. And
I think it's closer to here.
Okay, Next question goes to Mr. Andrew James, and standing order would be resumed.
My question is related to sustainability. So basically, I don't know whether you have been informed that your timeline has is going to be shifted. So you're gonna cover 1.5 years, right?
Clarification. To clarify, there's no exact timeline decided upon. It'll be decided as soon as possible. But then you can just refer to that 1.5 year that he mentioned.
So there are other LCs, not only in Hong Kong, that face retention rate problem because they've been working hard for 1.5 years because they have been shifting the timeline. So what do you think that it can ensure that the members that have been working for these whole 1.5 years so that they can continue to become the next intern?
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. If the members are working for 1.5 years, and this is a longer membership term than what we are undergoing right now, and it can be having pros and having cons as well. So for the bad point is that if they feel that there are a lot of workload in their membership term and they can't transform their mindset, and it will be a barrier for them to stay for the next term. But a benefiting point is that they will have longer period to do sufficient transition and also make their personal relevance more clear. And also, their knowledge to their functional area will be higher, and these 3 points are actually leading our members that they have more confidence in themselves to learn better and to gain more opportunities in AIESEC and make them feel like they can contribute and for the entity for 1 more year.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I believe to help with the retaining issue, first it's very important to make sure the members know that what they should expect and what their duty and role is at the very beginning of the session so that they won't quit during the 1.5 year. And after make sure they understand, I think what we can do to retain them is first we can try to connect their personal goals or personal reference to AIESEC, which is very important for them to keep being motivated for the 1.5 year. And another thing is I would probably encourage those members to try out new things in AIESEC as an organization instead of just by operational work, such as doing exchange or joining CC of other conferences, etc., to make sure or to let them understand there are still things that they can explore in 1.5 year or after the 1.5 year as an EB.
Next question goes to Ms. Angela Kwok.
Thank you, Chairperson. If you are elected to be the LCVP, can you tell us one plan that you will take into action in order to assist Irene to make AIESEC in CityU the first choice platform of leadership development in CityU?
Time's up, Miss Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. One plan from our manifesto is to optimize the members' potential, and stressing on the flexibility of the event that we can hold. So it is not only limited to members, but also to our EP, that we can provide some practical local volunteer experience to them, not only when they reach to the approval part, but before, like in recruitment for both our members and the people in CityU that they want to join, because we are showing them the passion of AIESECers toward this product, and also showing them what we are catering them in a practical experience. Before they go overseas, they see how we operate in a local field and help them to build confidence in us, in AIESEC, and also in our OGV operation. So these two might actually drive us to the vision of whole AIESEC, and also to Irene is the first choice of the leadership platform, because when they build confidence in us and seeing how passionate our AIESECer is and how familiar we are to the volunteer exchanges, then it will attracting them to come to us.
Miss Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So, because IGT is a department that tends to cater more to the external side, so in order to really make it the first leadership development platform in AIESEC, the thing that I will work on is more on the members inside AIESEC in CityU, and one of my focus areas is actually clarity and flair. And to ensure is to make sure that members know their values and they have more in the values of doing IGT and AIESEC work, and they also have a chance to through learning by doing, for example, by having self-stimulation. And I believe is one of the plans that we execute in order to cultivate or to develop the leadership skills inside among the members of AIESEC.
Last question goes to Ms. Kathy Kwan.
Thank you, Chairperson. So this is a question.
Request for
follow-up. Sorry. Chairperson, I would like to request for a follow-up question.
Chairperson allows.
And so for the first question is that this is a question from Alvin Lee, which is the LCVP FLA of section 1670. And so for Natalie, can you tell the plenary one past GVEP story? And then for Rainie, please tell us why don't you start the IGV department instead?
Ms. Natalie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. One EP story that I want to share is a girl going to Poland for her GV. She's post some pictures of the how she interact and play with the children in the school that she teaches in the project. And what she did is basically try to teach English to the children, but then because most of them do not know English, so it is very difficult for her to translate, and she needs some help. But then she found out that if she is playing some game and do some interaction with them, like some funny game, and it will also boost the children's interest and attention on her. And she also explained the education system of Hong Kong, and which is different from Poland. And actually she tells us the cultural shock that she has is that the children feel so shocked why Hong Kong is having a very packed timetable.
Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. The reason, the first reason is that because in Hong Kong, IGV, in terms of IGV, doesn't really have a high capacity, because actually Hong Kong is a very developed city, and we don't really have much valuable opportunities for an EP to come so far away from home to spend 6 weeks here doing doing a voluntary work here. And another reason is because doing IGV is actually will create a financial burden for the LC in terms of you may have to raise more sponsorship and to provide accommodation for them. And the final reason is actually I believe IGT can also cover part of the value delivery that can done through IGV is to let other people to know more about Hong Kong and to professionally and to personally develop themselves.
Follow-up question, Ms. Kathy Kwan.
Thank you, Chairperson. So this question is directed to both candidates. So Angie Chang is the coordinator of academic exchange of College of Business, and she runs exchange. So how do you think is the difference between the leadership development for her and also for you, respectively?
Time's up, candidate. Ms. Rainie Chau.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I think the first difference is between our vision because for CVs they focus more about the professional side or the academic side of their students that go through exchanges. But for the cross-cultural exchange that we're doing AIESEC, it's more about the personal development of a EP. For example, we have their LJ to facilitate their cross-cultural exchange, and it's not only about professionally develop themselves, but also how to develop their leadership and also their self-awareness.
Ms. Natelie Chen.
Thank you, Chairperson. The first point is similar to Rainie's, that we base on the SDG goals to have our GB experience provided to the CityU students. But for the CD1 is more academic driven. And one more special point of GB is that we encourage our participants to go on the GB alone from Hong Kong to there, and then so when they arrive at the destination, they are actually meeting people really come from diverse nationality, and this is one way that they can explore more about intercultural mindset, and this is what other exchanges in Hong Kong or in our campus couldn't give that, because most of the exchange experience, they will go with other Hong Kong people, Hong Kong students in Hong Kong, and so a bunch of people is actually a barrier to them to explore more other than the thing that they are familiar with.
Okay, so this will mark the end of the second round of Q&A. At time 4:39, Chairperson receives general motion number 4, which reads that the warmest welcome be given to Mr. Justin Tang, MCPP Finance and Digital Intelligence, as well as the MCP-elect of AIESEC Hong Kong Session 1819, and Mr. Thomas Lam, the LCVP OGT and Finance and Information Management, as well as the LCP-elect of AIESEC in CUHK Session 1819. Can I have a proposal from the floor? Ms. Irene Seconder. Ms. Naomi Wong will propose 3 promotion proposal.
So even though this is the end of the question round, please feel free to give insights to our candidates and prepare them for next session. Thank you.
Will seconder speak for the motion? Seconder.
So hello Thomas, hello Justin. So thank you so much for taking your time to come here, although their question and answer session is end as what Irene just mentioned. But also feel free to listen to their closing speeches to know more about their motivation and aspiration, hence to give more feedback to them. Thank you.
Any general comment? If no, Chairperson assumes that motion passed with acclamation. Okay, so we'll proceed with the agenda, but before we enter into the closing speech, we will have a 5-minute sharp and short toilet break. So please come back, wait. We haven't suspended the general meeting, Angie. Please come back sharp at 4:46, and then we will go on and proceed to the voting and then until the end of the election general meeting. At Time for 41 chairperson receives procedural motion number 12, which reads that the second round Q&A session of LCVP local committee vice president candidates of session 2018-19 to be concluded. Can I have a proposal from floor? Ms. Irene, seconder. Ms. Naomi Wong will propose to speak for motion. Waive seconder. Waive any general comment. If no, chairperson assumes that motion passed unanimously. At time for 41, chairperson receives procedural motion number 13, which reads that the second general meeting to be suspended. Can I have a proposal from the floor? Ms. Irene, seconder. Ms. Naomi Wong will propose to speak for motion. Waive seconder. Waive any general comment. If no, chairperson assumes that motion passed unanimously. Please come back at 4:47. Yeah, and during the voting session, you are not allowed to leave the room. So this will be the only toilet break.